Get in, nerds. We are playing Victoria 3. I just realized that my cohesion is being capped because I have low relations with San Salvador. With El Salvador. So I am going to improve relations with them. I'm also going to improve relations with I don't have the influence. Curse you, Brazil! That's okay. It's okay. Once we finish getting Britain up to 50, we'll be good to go. Again, our army is taking its sweet time getting here. I actually think I'm going to throw mobilization methods, faster moving mobilization methods in my other armies. Army of Observation. So which army is this? This is the regular army. So, Army of Observation, you're going to be in rail transport. Army of Florida, rail transport. Army of the Pacific Coast, rail transport. I'm going to activate the other production methods for the Army of the Pacific Coast. And then I'm going to do my best not to forget about the regular army once the time comes. Redeemers event once again. A coalition of former Confederates and Confederate sympathizers have won control of North Carolina's state government through means fair and foul, threatening the ongoing process of Reconstruction. Draw a line on one side of which you see intelligence, virtue, self-respect, and democracy, and on the other the absolute unchecked political supremacy of brute force and terror, and there you will behold not one attribute of free government, but the saddest tyranny of the old South desperately clawing back power that ever cursed this earth. As always, I'm going to arrest these men and install a new state government. I think that's just the sensible thing to do. Our finances are doing a lot better. We're no longer paying for Alaska. And there's American colonization rights enforced. We'll turn the regular army over to rail transport once again. Is there any gold over here? Looks like there's Goldfields only. Wish they would get better employed, because then we'd get a lot of cash, but it is what it is. So the question becomes, do I need to do more expeditions to map the Western frontier? I've still got the option, so I am going to kick off another one of those. I know the person for the job. We'll send Christian Nixon. Obviously, that's more expensive than it's ever been, but it is what it is. I think once again we may end up prioritizing progress this time over long-term advantage. I think getting it done faster is useful. We've pretty much finished out the barracks that we were building and the paper mills, and now our finances are doing a lot better. Let me see, I will say I definitely need... Oh goodness, a circular expedition already. The expedition to map the West has been traveling in circles. Christian Nixon can either pick a random direction and push on, or wait for a night to fall and use the stars as a guide. I recognized the markings that we left on a triangular-shaped rock. We kept walking as I decided not to mention them, but for whispers among the members and the unsettling eyes, I knew they also knew. We walked through the forest like autumn leaves, broken branches, uncared-for stray animals, those kids in fairy tales sent to the woods by evil stepmothers. A circle is a circle is a circle. The evil stepmother is Uncle Sam. Push on gets a 66% chance of hopelessly lost, 33% chance of back on track. Wait for nightfall is just minor peril. I'm going to grab the minor peril. I don't want to risk even more. I don't want to risk increased peril, and I don't think that's an unreasonable way to approach the situation. Finances are doing rock solid. I've got so much credit, but I'm paying virtually nothing in interest. So I think the interest calculation... So I'm a major with laissez-faire for my economy, and that gets me reduced loan interest rate by 25%. Petit bourgeois are giving me minus 20% from treasury bonds, and I'm getting minus 50% for being a major, so I'm actually only paying 10% of the major of the interest that I would be. British Republic is enforcing the ban on the Brazilian slave trade by aggressively disrupting shipping and trade. Well, it is what it is. Snow on the ground. Some members of the expedition have expressed concern that the weather is turning against them. They insist on hunkering down to avoid the worst of it. The layers of snow kept growing like untreated tumors. A huge white, a great white, and the reflection of it making our eyes sore and hurt. If we don't stop now, maybe we won't be able to stop anymore. One of the men shivers as he rubs his arms, lips as pale as our shadow over the snow. He doesn't say a word. I'm going to heed their warning. I think that's just a sensible option. Snow clears. Great news. Minor progress. Alright, so now I think... Oh, interesting. We've got a free trade party. What? Didn't they just say there was a free trade party? How curious. The industrialists were gonna flee their... Maybe it's the... What the heck? Evangelicals lost all their power. How interesting. Well, this is curious, but the Republicans got complete control of the government. I'm not about to complain about this, I'll tell you what. I need more steel and glass output. Colonization of Alaska completed. Oh my goodness, what on earth? Well, I'm not going to complain. Put in a railway. But, this is wild. Oh, you know what? I never reset production methods in Alaska. Or any of the other... Yes, we need a cargo port there. Whoops. Oh my goodness. But also, we need all our coal mines on nitro. An explorer's life for me. An insurgent group has emerged within the expedition, and 2 of the men have sneaked out in the middle of the night to go to a liquor store. But we, you know, it's been a while since we're far from home, and explorers will be explorers, right? And they're just exploring a bit in some other direction. But exploring nonetheless. These men need some discipline, reduce the current peril, slight delay, or they just need to break minor progress and peril. I'm going to do the first one. I don't like having higher peril than I have progress. So I'm thinking about the question of, do I go after Los Altos now? I think if I do go after Los Altos, Mexico will definitely try to stop me. Our great nation. Seeking to turn the tide of nationalism in favor of the Republican Party, Susan Anthony held a patriotic speech in one of Washington's parks. Nationalism is the often assumed and unearned superiority of one's place of birth. It is easily mistaken for something approaching the lines of patriotism, but a sharp eye can spot the difference. A sharper mind knows how to use it as leverage. Truly a hero for the people? Extra momentum for the Republicans? Or we should ensure the laws or property secured, 10% momentum for the Republicans, increase radical movement pop attraction, extra prestige. Does the radical movement have me anything to offer? I don't even have one. Alright, truly a hero for the people then. So I'm just quickly checking on how much it's going to take for me to start stealing states from Mexico. 9.6 infamy for Rio Grande, 8.6 for Chihuahua, 9.7 for Sonora, and 6.5 for Baja California. On the other hand, if I force them to be a protectorate, it's 51 infamy. So that's way more than I can live with. I could demand investment rights. That would be interesting. Alternatively, I could force them to free up a nation. Like, what if I stole Chiapas, actually? 7.8 infamy to steal Chiapas, because Chiapas is the other side of the state that Los Altos is occupying, so that would be reasonable. And then maybe I could free, like a Maya native civilization in Yucatan or something like that. Yeah, because Yucatan is almost completely Maya. Is Los Altos Maya? No, Los Altos is Central American. Okay, alright, I think I've got a solid plan. So, event. When the earth opened its mouth. Making their way through the mountains, the expedition finds a dangerous gorge. Their guide advises them to take a longer, more secure route instead of crossing it. At the mauvish beginnings of dawn, the shadows of the mountains become lilac imprints, carving on the rocks that Carvings on the rocks that mimic their own figures as miniatures displayed in a museum. The gorge gets sharper and narrower, the mouth of the earth directly pointed at us. Some hungers you cannot satiate. Our guide knows better. We have no time to waste. 50% chance of peril, 50% chance of progress. I'm going to say our guide knows better. This slightly delays the expedition. That's fine. Alright, so. You. Become my protectorate. Oh, it looks like Mexico's not going to fight. Well, that's a shame. But that's okay. They only have 1 battalion. I'm just going to mobilize the Army of Observation. And I'm going to put the American Navy in the area. And I think that's all I'm going to need to do. Can I restation? Yes, I can station the Army of Observation in Panama to bring them closer to the front. And then we'll just do a quick naval invasion, and that'll be the end of it. And that'll be nice. Yeah, working on that railway in Alaska. Everything else is going chill. There was diplomatic play for a second, but that's it. Interesting. Extreme winds in Montana. That's not ideal. Mexico sides with Los Altos. Alright, so. Never mind. Alright, so what kind of an army does Mexico have? Not much of one, actually. In fact... I think I'll be able to do this with just, without mobilizing my main... army. I am going to, increase the number of troops in the Army of Florida by just a little bit. We'll go up to 6 baseline skirmish infantry units, 3 artillery, and 1 cavalry. Just, you know, to be sensible. It's going to cost us some cash, but it's going to be worth it. Regular army, I think I'm going to do the same. We're just at the point where we need to have solid baselines so that we're not caught completely off guard when things get hairy. Because the hairiness that things get to is likely to be reasonably high within the short term. But, let's go ahead and add in our war goals. So, I want to... I want to do that, but I'm not going to. We're going to throw in a Conquer State war goal on, once again, this is Chiapas. Where is it? Chiapas, here we go. And then we're going to throw in a Liberate Country war goal on Yucatan. Liberate Rio Grande. Interesting. Yeah, we're just going to liberate Yucatan. I can't add these to primary because they're not targeting the primary target. And then we're going to throw in... Now, let me see. I got 77 maneuvers left. That's fine. I'm going to throw in a war reparations war goal for good measure. And that's just to continue to weaken Mexico and not allow them to get stronger. Because that's just the sensible way to do things. Production and agitation. In collaboration with the Republican Party, Ichabod Black has secured a deal for cheap and quickly distributed pamphlets in support of the party. The interior of the carriage held a pleasant surprise, a crate of several thousand pamphlets, printed on an industrial scale, each with instructions on the voting process and a cheaply copied logo of the Republican Party. They made a hefty weight, and he hoped would turn out to be an equally sized benefit. Bury our opponents in a sea of paper, extra momentum, or these connections could be used later. Ichabod Black gets ambitious. Oh, but Ichabod Black's terrible at everything. He's compliant and inexperienced. We'll just bury our opponents in a sea of paper. Wow. Again, we seem to have formed a single-party state rather by accident. Which, you know, is definitely something that can happen in realistic politics, for sure. That's a real thing. Los Altos backs down. Interesting. Does that put us in a truce with Mexico? It does not. Alright, so, well, I mean, I did all that stuff. A new quest. As the expedition advances, the prioritization of tasks increases in importance, and Christian Mixon keeps track of what every man must do. However, the disobedient explorers have already stated their non-agreement with this decision. I'm going to say it's imperative that we find a settlement. We just got peril instead. Okay, weird. So it's curious how sometimes we have a chance of getting peril from that and sometimes we don't. I think I am actually probably going to wage that war against Mexico, but I'm going to wait until these barracks get built first because I just want to get my armies have a little bit higher baseline ability to do the things they want to do before we go too much farther. I'm also going to start improving relations with Los Altos. Relations with them are quite bad, and that's keeping our cohesion of our power block lower than I would like it to be. So we're just going to get started on that. So just a few more weeks here. And then, yeah, I think I'm going to grab Chiapas, and I'm going to liberate Yucatan, and then Chile wants to host an embassy. Absolutely. Chile, I would love to host an embassy of yours. How is leverage looking? It's not great, but it'll be higher now that you've got an embassy. Love to get an investment agreement. But, you know, we'll see how things play out. Campaign financing. Parties, particularly the Republican Party, are struggling to raise enough funds for all their campaigning needs this election. Let's see what you men are charging. Fees, yes, that's to be expected, but what's this lodging charge? That fancy hotel room could house half a village, and there's enough wine here to drown a fish. Well, votes don't come cheap, sir. You want to win, right? Some money can be spared for the Republican Party. A very small amount of government expenses, extra momentum. Provide every party with basic funding this cycle, slightly increased government expenses, plus one opposition interest removal. Or if a party can't afford a campaign, should it be campaigning? Weaker Republican Party. I'm going to do the first one, I guess. It's really a very small amount of cash, and it's to the ruling party, so, you know, it's fine. That's not a problem. I was up above the French for just a second here on the rankings, so I might take some time to increase my my government, my armies further. But for now, though, Mexico, hey, give me Chiapas. Let me see. El Salvador and Colombia are theoretically going to stand with them. I don't think they can. Guatemala could, and I don't care. They might accept, and it would be fine if they did. They did not. That's okay. Get the lads together. Playing as America. I shouldn't say get the lads together. That's a very English way to refer to things. Do I want to start conscription? I think maybe only one set of conscripts will be needed for this, so I'm just going to start with the Army of Observation and go from there. I'm going to throw on my additional war goals, my additional war goal, which is war reparations, and which is the liberation of Yucatan. And I'm going to throw the liberation of Yucatan into the primary. I don't really care about war reparations. A little cash would be nice to offset the cost of this war, but it's not a great... Alright, so there's the election. Once again, Ormsby Bogey has taken the presidency with the Republican Party. So curiously, the yeoman farmers have gotten hardly any clout. They've only gotten clout from wealth, so they failed to form a party. And the evangelicals failed to form a party as well. So all of the parties which oppose our government are only getting their votes from clout. We are not a single-party state. We're just a regular universal suffrage state. So that's quite interesting. I'm almost not sure what to make of that. We've got a little bit of bureaucracy to play with right now, so I'm going to go ahead and increase Social Security, and that should be just fine. French Republic colonized Mauritania. Alright, forced comparison here is really good, but let's wait till their units get here to see if it's actually genuinely good or if that it just looks like it's good. Okay. Forced comparison here is alright. It's getting better. Alright, beautiful. Against the odds, despite not enjoying full rights under American law, some wealthier Afro-American people have begun moving into wealthier neighborhoods and frequenting establishments they would normally be excluded from. If we want our children to have a future, this is where we should raise them, he said. I want them to live somewhere safe. She crossed her arms. Have you seen the looks we get? When people talk about safe, they don't mean safe for us, they mean safe from us. We mandated some new regulations to keep the peace. 2% of Afro-American pops become more radical. 20% radicalism increases for open prejudice and below acceptance status pops. Or they've earned their success with all it entails. Saltier and weaker petite bourgeoisie. Ooh. If I make the petite bourgeoisie any angrier, they're going to increase my interest rate. So, I'm going to need to do the first one, unfortunately. But it is what it is. Again, if I weren't so deeply in debt, I would be more liberal. Goldfields depleted in Arizona. The rich mineral deposits in Arizona have been drained. Mines are being shuttered, and all the prospectors who moved in are beginning to drift away in search of the next big strike. Alluvial gold dried up, miners go home. River dried up due to miner activity. Shafts condemned as threat to life. Enter at own peril. Trespassers will be shot. Survivors will be shot again. Unfortunate. Reduce migration traction by 50%. Or we can't just let them leave, reduce migration traction by 20%, but 5% of laborers become more radical. You know I'm going to do that second one, because it's time to build us some gold mines. Raising concerns. The yeoman farmers expressed their interests about government decisions, clearly favoring the interests of the industrialists. Choosing is always hard, not because the decision is difficult to make, but because the consequences can be a bit inconvenient. Rumors are spreading like smoke from a factory, staining the clear air of the United States of America with a dense and vicious poison. This needs to be addressed. Yeoman farmers happier, industrialists angrier, or they need to accept we can't always please everyone. Yeoman farmers weaker and upset. I'm going to do the second one. Yeoman farmers being weaker is not at all of consequence. A circular expedition. Our expedition to map the West has been traveling in circles. Christian Mixon can either pick a random direction and push on, or wait for night to fall and use the stars as a guide. I recognized the markings that we had left on a triangular-shaped rock. We kept walking as I decided not to mention them, but for whispers among the others and their unsettling eyes, I was sure that they also knew. We walked through the forest like autumn leaves, broken branches, uncared-for stray animals, those kids in fairy tales sent into the woods by evil stepmothers. A circle is a circle is a circle. If we push on, we have a 66% chance of being hopelessly lost, 33% chance of being back on track. Waiting for nightfall is minor peril. I'm going to risk it. Hopelessly lost. The members of the expedition managed to get even more lost. Eventually they found the right way, but not before wasting a large amount of supplies and time. We struck out in a random direction, and it did not pay off. How irksome. Peril. Alright, that puts us at 6 peril. That's not ideal. I'm not super pleased about that. This force comparison is looking pretty alright. I might raise the banners in the Army of Florida, but I think I will let it go for now. Ooh, breech-loading artillery. Excellent. I'm going to upgrade all units, and I recognize that doing that in the middle of the war is probably a mistake, but, you know, it's not the middle of a war, it's before a war, and soon we'll have a lot more, a lot stronger armies, and that'll be really nice. So in a way, it's just kind of sensible. In fact, our force comparison is increasing, even as the number of units in the enemy force here increases. I'm going to go ahead and designate Mexico City as the strategic objective. I think that makes sense to do. We have a shortage of ammunition. Put the artillery foundries on the higher method. Oh, my munitions plants don't have explosive shells yet. So they're just doing their best. Well, the ones in Pennsylvania are hiring right now, so that should increase my overall availability of munitions. With that having been said, I think I'll increase the size of the ones in Iowa. 2 arms. That should provide us with enough of a buffer that we can deal with that for the moment. Alright, so first battle here, it looks like we're winning, and hopefully we'll continue to win. Nice. He's got a little pickle halb, little pointy helmet. That's fun. That's fun. That's delightful. So what if I built up a bunch of power block statues? Gold depleted in Colorado. I just read this event, so I'm not going to read it again. I'm just going to say we can't just let them leave. And then I'm going to build up a bunch of gold mines in Colorado as well. Only 2 levels. That's fine. Swollen River. The expedition members come across a river that is bursting at the banks. They can try to raft across, which would be quick but dangerous. Alternatively, they could search for a more suitable place to cross, although this could take some time. A brief landscape captured in the moment that found us. The bold gray is the prospective river trapped in a cage of violence and impetus. The wandering trees carried away, decapitated. Sometimes some type of animal, otherwise alone. Onward, 66% chance of safe crossing, 33% chance of a capsized raft, or better to be safe. Expedition continues. I'm going to do the first one. Safe crossing. Excellent. The expedition successfully crossed the river with little to no difficulty. With such an easy crossing, we'll make great strides today. Why, I dare say we could have made many more if we loaded the rafts if we loaded the rafts that bit more. Are you touched in the head, son? We're lucky the water has opted to be gentle today. Let's get the rafts out before the water. Stop being so kind. Good news. Extra progress. Alright, so that's pretty good. Hoping to reduce peril a little bit. You know, I kind of risked it, and it did end up going right for me, but I shouldn't be doing too much more of that. Yeah, force comparison here is rock solid. We're just getting territory at an absolutely absurd rate. I'm hoping we don't end up grabbing Sonora, because if we do, that's going to split the fronts, and it's going to make things really awkward. Undiscovered plant species. Remember, the expedition has asked for a few days to stop and collect samples of a previously unknown plant species. The colorful petals of the plant have certainly never been seen before. A dash of the brightest scarlet, some hints of adventurous azure. Thorns, but only so small that the risk is desirable. Soon the most luxurious salons of the United States of America will be brimming with vases of these flowers. Every woman will wish that her lover would bring her some. Fascinating. And certainly lucrative. Of course, minor progress, slight delay, extra prestige. Or, what are we, gardeners? Large progress. I'm going to do the second one. That's going to bring us up to 5 progress. Again, I'm not trying to get fancy with these expeditions. I know there's some benefit for finishing them out, I just don't remember what it is. Infrastructure's good in a lot of these states. Still in the process of colonizing Idaho. Again, I set the target as Mexico City, but I think I'm not sure what our army setup is doing here. Oh man, okay. I guess we are going to grab Baja California and Sonora as well, which is fine. I guess that'll, assuming we get Baja California first, it'll be fine and a non-problem. So there's baking powder. I'm going to make sure I flip over to that with my food industries, so that I don't look like a fool, which I have done before, as you well know. Should you be profitable with patent stills? A little bit. All right, cool. Alright, so we've properly beaten the stuffing out of the Mexican army, and now we're just kind of fighting these tiny battles so we can push towards Mexico City. I probably could have broken off more, but, you know, it's fine. Maybe I could have stolen one state from the border here, but you know, we're a little high on infamy, so you know, didn't want to be trying to do too much here. My primary goal of grabbing Chiapas is to incorporate it into Los Altos, because that's it's part of the state that Los Altos is part of. Obviously, I'm completely goofing up standard of living in Mexico right now with my my blockade here, or at least I hope I am. I like to think I am. Am I getting any convoy raiding done? I know I was getting some when I was over here in the Western Caribbean, but I haven't been paying close attention. So it's possible I've not been. All right, things are now. The fronts are weird. Come on, there we go. Perfect. Right, there we go. Population of the capital is at 77%. Occupation is... and 100%. Alright, beautiful. A new quest. As the expedition advances, the prioritization of tasks increases in importance, and Christian Mixon keeps track of what every man must do. However, the disobedient explorer has already stated their non-agreement with this decision. So, if I say we find a settlement, I've got a chance of getting peril. I'm going to say, okay, I've got a chance of getting peril with both of these. I'm going to go for a settlement, and that's the end of the expedition. So, it is what it is. Nothing I could have done about that. Failed expedition. A terrible shame. Let's get a new one started. I have to admit, the expedition thing I'm kind of blasé about. Northwestern... Can't do it until we're at peace. Alright, well that's fine. So, Mexico's at minus 50 war support, so I'll go ahead and click all of our options here and propose the peace deal. Excellent. So that makes Yucatan a country. And they do have a truce with us for 5 years. Same with Mexico. We've also got a hold of Chiapas now. So I'm going to go ahead and transfer Chiapas to Los Altos. And that's going to make them a little bit higher functioning a country. Trade agreement with Britain. You know what? Sure. How are things going in the country? Turmoil is pretty high. They need a railway. And some logging camps, I dare say. This might be a mistake. Oh boy, those are not going fast, but that's alright. What's my leverage over Yucatan from baseline? It's really, really low. But it should increase over time, particularly if I... Let me see. They would be okay with an alliance or defensive pact, but I don't necessarily want that right now. They'll be okay with a power block embassy. So we'll get started with that. See if we can get them in. Chile starts with Argentina. Hold on. They accept the power block embassy. What's our leverage over Chile right now? It's 137. That's not bad. Argentina is conquering this colonial area. Alright, cool. So, now Chile. Chile, my friends. What if, and hear me out, we were closer friends? Flood in North Carolina. Don't love that. I'd rather just force them to be a protectorate. We're going to have a new mandate pretty soon, so I think we'll go to that. And then we'll close out the episode. 40 acres and a mule event once again. I'm going to authorize limited redistribution of land. I don't feel like I need to read this event. We've seen it like 3 times already. It's just going to increase the standard of living of Afro-American pops in the state that it procs in. I feel like the colonization of Idaho has gone really slowly, but maybe I'm just not understanding. Also, how do the Athabasca still have this? Oh, because that territory is impassable. That's curious. I feel like this might be a bug, but, you know, no complaints, I guess. I guess I'm perfectly happy with that situation. And there's Social Security up to level 2. Again, this is hardly costing us anything in terms of cash already. And to the extent that it costs things, we get reduction in political strength for pops getting Social Security out of it, which is useful from a long-term perspective in terms of keeping the industrialists the strongest interest group, which we do want to continue to do. So there's a new mandate available. So if we bring ideological truth up to level 3, that's minimum legitimacy, which is useful. Defensive coordination we can bring up to 2. Impose same army model and reduce sway cost for the diplomatic play target, which is interesting. On the other hand, I could start with market unification, which is something I definitely want to do in the long term. But I think actually defensive cooperation is the better one. Because I want all of us to stand together against British and French imperialism, and I think that's just, this is the way to do it. So we're going to get going with that. And then, will let things play out as they play out. That having been said, that is all the time we've got for this episode, my nerds. I have had fun. I hope you all have had fun, and I will see you on the other side.